Good afternoon. I'm Simone Groover, and this is Catherine Martin. First of all, I want to say to everyone, thank you for attending. Welcome to Fixing Crowns Book Club. We're here today because it was brought to my attention. God don't make mistakes. It was brought to my attention yesterday while we were doing the part one of the Meet the Authors event, that this month is National Family Caregiver Month. Yesterday, we did our Meet the Authors event with two authors who are caregivers, and they wrote books about their caregiver journey and self-care. And the entire time we were talking, I was thinking about my dear friend, my sister, Kat Martin. So I've known her, oh my God, like 2005, 2006.
Probably as long as Jonathan, about 15 years.
Yeah.
He's a baby. Yeah.
We were in the military together, stationed in Germany. And of course, I transferred to another place. And because of that, we kind of lost touch of each other, but the book club brought us back together. And before we even go into that, so the book club was inspired by a book club that we had while in Germany.
That's right.
A lot of people want to know why, how did this book club come to play? Well, while stationed in Germany, we had a book club of maybe just four ladies, but it was amazing. It was this traveling book club. So every month we would pick a place, we would take turns hosting, and we would pick a different place in Germany, and we would discuss this book, whether we're walking, whether we're at a spa, in a house eating food. It was this bond that we had, and I loved it. And I wanted to create something like that again. Of course, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought there would be over 900 women, but I still feel that sense of community, and I'm so grateful for that. And a lot of it is because of Kat. There's I'm not going to start yet.
Don't you start.
So I asked Kat to come on because she missed the event last night or yesterday, and she texted me and said she had so many things she wanted to comment during that live event. And I'm like, well, why don't we just talk now? Because it's needed. So I'm going to let you tell your story. Tell us who you are. Just tell us your story about your caregiver journey, about everything.
Well, thank you, Simone. I really appreciate that. And I can't, first of all, begin to thank you for what you've done for our family. I just want everybody to know that Simone can have whatever she wants. She has inspired us and my son so much so that he wanted to go to his auntie Simone's house and spend the night with her while he was going through his condition or through his sickness. And that was extremely telling of what kind of spirit you have. So I am forever grateful to you. And you will always be my sister. Always. You can have what my husband even said, you can have whatever you want, Simone. I had my son Jonathan was 15 years old, and we recently PCS from San Antonio, Texas, here to Fort Mill, South Carolina. We didn't know we were going to end up here. We thought we were going to Charlotte. That's where we wanted to be. We wanted to be in the Queen City. So it was not in the cards for us to be there. The market was kind of rough. I think everybody knows how bad this housing market is right now. So I told my husband the furthest I'm willing to move south is Fort Mill, only because it sounded like an installation. I did do some research, and I did find out that they have really, really good schools, and it just seemed like a charming place to live in. And so Fort Mill is where it was at. We found a home. we moved our family this way on faith, and everything was going well until it wasn't. Um, right after Father's Day, the day of Father's Day, me and my son drove up to spend Father's Day with my dad, who we haven't had the opportunity to do that for years now. And it was just nice to be so close to home where we can make a day trip out of it. So me and Jonathan went, and he wasn't feeling very well that day or the day before, but he rode with me anyway. And when I brought him back home the following day, he started just still showing signs of not feeling so great. But it wouldn't have been anything that you would have thought that would have made me want to take him to the hospital. It was like a random throw up, or, he would just say, his stomach doesn't feel great or whatever. So he was outside playing basketball, and I don't think he was doing too hot with that. Came in to eat, and I had made his favorite meal, which was macaroni, cheese, and some spinach. And I usually make 2 boxes because he could eat a box by himself. And when he couldn't eat his food, that's when it was alarming to me, and I decided to take him to the hospital. It was a couple of other statements that were made that just kind of made me think this boy might be having what I thought to be maybe appendicitis or a gallbladder issue, just from my medical knowledge. Um, when I got to the hospital, my whole life changed the day after Father's Day, which was, I believe, the 23rd of June. And they told me my son had a mass in his liver, and that it had traveled up into his median sternum. And that news was very shocking to me, considering my son never had been sick like this in his life. He's always been vaccinated on time. He's always had all of his physicals on time. He was my cleanest eater. He's never been one for candy or any junk food. He likes to eat very well, and he liked to exercise. So for him to be so sick and us not know it, it was kind of bizarre, and it was scary. And so we started this journey of where they took a biopsy, and July 1st is when they named his tumor, which is a very rare cancer um, called nut midline carcinoma. You probably haven't heard of it because it's just that rare. Not very many people get it. I think they've had over as many as 200 cases since '97. That's how rare it is. And we went through the process of so many different emotions because I just wasn't willing to receive the diagnosis that the doctors were giving me. I had to really hone in on my medical skills at that point because Jonathan was extremely sensitive and he didn't want a lot of people picking over him. So I took up all of the nursing functions and I did everything for my son. And 3 months later, October 5th, he passed. And so it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. And yeah, it was just that fast. It was just that fast. And we've been trying to just move on as a family, not move on in the sense that we're forgetting Jonathan. He will never be forgotten, but we're just trying to adjust to our new normal without Jonathan and just try to keep things as normal as possible. Because before I didn't really introduce myself well, but I am prior service. Like Simone said, I served 20 years in the military. Jonathan was with me for 15 of those years. And we have our routines, and he also had 4 siblings here in the house, 4 other girls that were his siblings that range from ages 19 to 4. I have 4-year-old twins, and then a 9-year-old that's getting ready to turn 10 in December. And then we have 2 fur babies and my husband, obviously. So we've been all very much hurt by this moment. I also have a stepson who is the same age as Jonathan. They're about 4 months apart. He is on the spectrum, so we deal with that as well as a family. So that's a dynamic that is always something to navigate whenever he is here. But my son loved all of his siblings so much, so very hard, and it's just really difficult for him not to be here right now with us.
So, Kat, I know that we talked, on the phone, and I was able to go there. Um, and like I said yesterday during the book event, caregiving is not the same for everyone. Tell me what you went through. Tell us what you went through as a caregiver during those short, fast months.
Um, I I went through a lot, but I think I relied heavily on my military background to get me through a lot of it. So, in the military, I was a combat medic. I did a lot of trauma work. And so, in my mind, I transferred my son into a role of a soldier. And what would I do for a soldier on the battlefield if I ever had to take on that mission? And I wouldn't be crying. I would try my best to be together because my whole ultimate goal is to bring somebody back and bring them back intact so that their family members and loved ones can have them for years and years to come. And so, in my mind, that's how I treated my son in a sense. And I had to become somewhat rigid about how I handled him because I didn't want to seem shaken by what I was experiencing. Just so you know, I lost my mother to cancer as well 2 years ago. And I'm still dealing with that because of how she passed, and then and how quickly she passed after she was with me. And then my sister also dealt with brain cancer earlier this year. That was a whole dynamic, and one of the reasons why we moved closer to home was to be closer to family because we had decided that being so far away was just too hard on all of us, with respects to losing family members and not being able to get to them quickly.
Mhm. So with so when she was saying she was pretty stoic, and I would go to their house, and y'all know me, I'm doing all the crying, and I felt bad because she's trying to console me, and I'm like, you're the one with your son who's like, he's sick. This lady, when you talk about strength, Kat is the epitome of strength. Um, because she didn't just do this once, she did it twice within such a short time. And that saying where no one should have to bury their child. Well, no one should.
Mhm.
Um, in these short months, Kat, she cared for her son, medical wise. She loved on him. She helped him transition, all at the same time running a household.
Mhm.
Um,
It's
girl.
tough. It's no small. It's not for the faint of heart. I much applauds to anybody who can do it because everybody's not able to. I've seen people. I was listening to the conversation yesterday, and I can't remember if it was Ashley or Miriam who said that, if you want to know how good you're doing with this caregiving thing, ask them. And I find that it's just simply that easy. But you can only really ask that question if you know you're doing your best. And if you're not doing your best, you're not going to ask that question. And so I think while my caregiving experience for both my mother and my son were extremely short, I put my whole self into it. I didn't leave anything on the table because I wanted to make sure that when I did it, that I can say without a shadow of a doubt that I did my very best for these individuals, and that they would be extremely pleased with the work that I did for them. Um, I know that that's not always the case for everyone. People can get exhausted. It can be years. It can be months and months and months, and it can grow. You could grow weary in that role, especially if you're not doing self care. And that's one thing my husband ensured that I did. He wanted me to make sure that I took care of myself. He filled in the gap for me when I just wanted to take a moment to get something done for myself. And I didn't stay gone long because I never wanted to feel like, I never wanted my son to feel like I was not there for him. And he was understanding as well. He really was a good boy about all of it. He was the epitome of strength in my mind. And, how dare I come in crying all over the place, when he's being so strong at 15 years old and just ruin it by, just not, being in my feelings, should I say. Yeah.
So when she says, you all, that she crossed every T and dot every I, she made sure that everything was covered. What Kat did, she just not only took care of like his pain and, his central catheter, she made sure that he received holistic training or treatment or care. Reiki, you did acupuncture, oils, everything, changing his diet. She fought for this young man like I've never seen anybody fight before. And I'm saying that from my medical experience. This lady is a fighter. And at the same time, she was taking care of herself. What kind of things did you do for self-care, Kat?
I enjoy just driving sometimes. I've had now I wouldn't recommend it because I've had some crying moments in the car where that probably wasn't the safest way to handle my, to be on the road. But I enjoy looking at trees. They get very therapeutic for me. That's a good way for me to have self-care, just to kind of leave the situation for a minute, because sometimes it can be hard. I'll never tell anybody that this is an easy walk. Like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. You have to know that you're going to have to put in some work. You can't come in at half stepping, or you won't do it from the heart. Some things that I did, I love a good facial. Anybody who rubs on my face is just my friend forever. And I don't think I did much more than facials and routine things to keep myself, my body good. Taking my medicine, that was a big part of it. I'm always like really shoddy with that. But when I was listening to the interview yesterday, taking your medicine is a really important part of that. And when I was dealing with my son, I really needed my medicine because this was hard, and I needed to stay on the up and up. And then somebody mentioned music. Now I am a huge fan. I think you know that about me.
Yes.
A huge fan of music and jazz in particularly. So every morning I would wake up and I would turn that music on because my son and I enjoy it so much. Um, it gives us a sense of that things are still normal, even though they're not. Too much quietness kind of just, your mind is running and racing and you're not really, it's just you thinking too hard about everything. But once the music came on, you kind of can just feel like you can coast it out a little bit more. And the music gives you so many different tempos, so you can have that high and that low, and it's very therapeutic. So that's what we did, a lot of music. And just, I tried to craft. That's one of my areas that I really enjoy doing, but there wasn't much room for crafting. But if I did get an opportunity to go do that, one of my girlfriends might say, hey, let's go down to Myrtle Beach to go and sew something. If I can get away for a couple of hours, I definitely was on board for that. So that was another thing that I enjoyed doing as well.
So I think you're being a little humble when you say you craft. Can you let everyone know you do own a business? Okay, so let me tell you, I don't know if y'all can see the logo. What is it, the upper right for everybody? She modified this logo for me. Mm-hmm. And this T-shirt. So her and her daughter, her and her daughter are like phenomenal. Her daughter did this, Jada.
Yep, she sure did.
The store that you can purchase Fixing Crowns Book Club merchandise, she set it up for me. Like, she made this whole book club professional. So she's not just a crafter. She has a business. And can you please let them know the name of your business, ma'am?
Yes, it's called Melanated Melon. But that's one part of it. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. So it's Beatrice Bows and Deco is one part of it. And it started out with me just making wreaths, and I enjoy just like crafting wreaths. So I think I'm pretty good at it, and people love my work. They love all the huge bows on the wreaths. So I started there, and then I ultimately started making other things. And I think when COVID happened, I didn't know how to sew. And so people were needing masks, and I was like, well, I'm not working. I'm at home. I'm home pretty much most of the day. Maybe I can help out with some masks. So I had purchased this old sewing machine from a estate sale. It was like old. It's probably over 20 years old, but nobody ever really used the sewing machine. And I had shoved it up in my closet thinking I'm gonna teach myself to sew one day. And I never got around to it. So it sat there for months. And when we got locked into the house, I taught myself how to sew. And I started making masks. And they were a little funky at first, but as I got to making more and then they started selling, I was like, oh, well, then I can keep doing this and kind of make me a little extra money. And it wasn't just the mask. I would make them with all the designs on them, like all of the Marvel designs and stuff, things that people like to have on their mask. And I got pretty good at it. And then I was like,
pretty good.
Well, I got well enough to buy me a new sewing machine. And not only that, like an embroidery sewing machine. So I taught myself how to embroider. And so I was embroidering on the mask also. And then it just grew from there. And then I started doing things with my Cricut machine, cutting out, using paper to craft with. And it just kind of grew. So it's a little bit of everything. I probably should focus in on one particular item, but if you're an artist, you know that, or a crafter, you know that you have a ton of different things you enjoy doing and you don't really gravitate one way or the other. So when people ask you to do things, you're more than excited to leave one area because you enjoy just creating. So that's kind of how Beatrice Bows and Deco came about.
So thank you. Lisa Mole said, asked me to put the link on the group page, and I will definitely do that. Damia Causey said, while we were talking about the caregiving portion, she said, if you aren't able to do it, there's nothing wrong with that. Allow those who can help you to help. Everybody ain't built for being a caregiver in the traditional sense, but maybe you're good at the financials and paperwork or good at cooking, shopping, etc. Get the good qualified help you may need to assist yourself and loved ones. So that, I think, ties it into the website that you built for Jonathan. Yes. Can you talk about CareGather, his profile?
Yes. So when we started the journey, I wanted a way to reach everybody who I knew would want to know what was going on with our child. Because we are military, we've traveled a lot. We've made a lot of friends. There are a lot of people who love our family and just are not close enough to be by our side in this moment. And I didn't want to leave anybody out of the journey that we were getting ready to experience. So I found this link, this website called CareGather, where you can build a profile and you can do it. The loved one can do it. The person who's going through the the cancer or whatever disease, they can do it, or whatever ailment, they can build it themselves, or you can do it on behalf of that person. And I did one on behalf of Jonathan. And my whole intent was to be able to keep people in the loop. I find that when you talk to people and you let them in and let them know what you're going through, people are so much more willing to assist you in any way possible. It's when we don't open our mouths, like my mother used to say, closed mouths don't get fed. We we lose out on all of the angels that are out there that are willing to help us. And I'm telling you that more, I've had more strangers come and be by our side in this moment. They're not looking for any kind of accolades or anything like that to to be recognized. They just want to help. And I've found so many people that just want to help and just love on this family and try to help us get through this journey, because again, no parent should have to bury their child. And if you have a pulse, you know how difficult this moment can be.
Mhm. So on this this link below, you can still go on and see just everything, because now she's blogging. Well, she started during her journey with her son, this amazing young man, but she's continuing to blog.
Mhm.
So if you want to go on and see how you can help now, because it's not over, and we'll talk about that as well,
Yeah.
please. And I'll put this on I'll put this website or this link on our group page so you can jump in and see how you can help. Um, what all's on there? I know when I went on there, I was able to like order like food, and I'm like almost 3 hours away from her. Or
Right.
you could order just whatever. There's kind of like a wish list, things that
Yes.
that you requested, things not just for Jonathan but for the family. Because remember, all of her focus, most of her focus, is on him.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, there's a whole household going on. Kids need to be fed.
Hair need
Um,
to be done,
hair needs to be done. Yes.
and it's not as rigorous as it was when Jonathan was here, obviously. But there are things on the website that help people. It kind of pushes your team of people, your community, to help you and assist you. Like if somebody wants to help but they just don't really know how to help, they can purchase a gift card.
Yeah.
Gas cards are always such a welcome item, because if you have to take this child to and fro to doctor's appointments, this is a lot of gas on your vehicle. Sometimes I would have to go to Levine like 4 times a week. And then let's not even talk about the overnight stays 5 days back to back every 2 weeks for chemo. And
Right.
then when the chemo didn't work, now we had to drive to Duke Children's Hospital in Durham, North Carolina. So that's
And how far was that?
that's like 3 hours of driving. Then we have to stay wherever we're going to stay at. We have to eat, and these things are not covered by your insurance. You know what I'm saying? So there are ways to like give gift cards for food. There are gift cards for gas, just to be able to get a gift for the child or the adult who is going through. They offer different ideas that you can do to help the family or the loved one, and then it gives you an opportunity to put ideas out there that would be helpful to you and your family. So that was the one thing that I truly enjoyed about CareGather, because it just gave everybody an idea. So I didn't have to explain to people 100 times a day
Right.
what we needed, because sometimes I don't know what we need. A lot of times people ask me, call me if you need anything. Well, I don't know what to call you for, because I've never had to ask you for anything. And it's not in a mean way. It's just I don't know what I can ask you for, what I can or what I can't ask you for. I just know that, my family is going through something very traumatic right now, and I can't really call each and every person who offers that to me. But this is a way for you to get to me and do something without, and still be recognized for that, because it'll send me a link saying, so, such and such sent you a gift card, and then give me an opportunity to write that person back at my leisure. It's not any stress about anything on this website. You can write back or not. Typically people, I'm more of that person who will write back if somebody does something kind for me, but I don't expect people to do that if you have a whole list of things going on in your life right now and you can't be honestly expected to stop what you're doing to say thank you all the time. So it just kind of gives you that opportunity to communicate with those people who want to be helpful to you and your family.
So Miriam says, Demia. Okay, Miriam responded to Demia when Demia said, and if you aren't able to do it, there's nothing wrong with, with asking. Miriam says, totally agree. Know your community, their skills, so you can ask the right people for help. Danielle Jackson says, yeah, because strangers help more than people you know.
Oh, I know, Danielle. You better say it, girl. I'm telling you, it really is. If you read my blog, that is something I talked about in this last blog that I wrote. It's just how strangers, and let me tell everyone again, like, we just moved here. So this was the hard part about having a sick child. This is not a community that my son grew up in or anything. We literally just moved to Fort Mill, South Carolina. My son gets sick, we noticed him sick a month after we moved into the house. We haven't even gotten everything into each room yet. And from that point forward, we had to stop everything we were doing and just focusing on Jonathan. And so there was nobody coming to the house, helping do anything, because nobody knows us. We are literally out here on our own. Simone would drive 3 hours, pack her babies up. She would pack her twins up. And she would drive 3 hours from Fayetteville to South Carolina to be with my family. She would come and cook for my family. I can't even say that about a lot of people that came from my mother right now. And I know that's probably not cool to call people out right now, but I can't express how important this woman that I'm talking to is to me and my family. There are so many people that I am grateful for. I'm not saying you had to be here, just a phone call, just, folks who flew in to say hello and did a turning burn. You didn't have to stay long. You just came and you wanted to show Jonathan you loved him and you supported him, and you came and you conquered and you went back home. That spoke volumes to all of us who saw that in those moments, because I did not know I was losing my son in 3 months. I did not want to believe what the doctors were telling me. And in order for me to function and take care of my kid, I couldn't believe what they were telling me when they were saying that my son's life was short. They gave him 6 months at best. I got 3 months out of that 6 months. So I watched him dwindle, and we sounded the horn, and the angels that were sent to be in place in that moment will forever be a part of that moment with us. 100%.
And see, okay, so I know that part of self-care means to ask for help. I get it. And maybe it's just, I don't know, the way I grew up, and maybe being in the church. I know we're supposed to ask for help, but I also believe that we are supposed to be able to discern.
I agree.
I was at the park with my Twinkies and you told me what happened. Everything stopped, because if it happens to yours, I knew him before he was born.
Right.
if it happened to yours, it can happen to mine. So
Right.
you don't have to give me details.
You just activate it. And that's where I think your heart is, because me and you we're very kindred spirits. And so when you were conversating yesterday with Miriam and Ashley, I'm like, my sister sounds so much like me. And when I was like, because this is the questions I would be asking. And then when I was blogging, I was like, these are the questions that I'm answering. And I think it was just we were in tune with each other. I don't even understand. I don't even know. But I know that, I know how I treat people. I know when I'm going through something, what would help me. And I try to do what would help me for other people. If somebody says, and especially in my family, if somebody's sick, I'm on a plane. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out what's going on and how can I help, at least until you get stable enough that I feel comfortable in what I'm, leaving your side, or I can find somebody who can fill in the gap. I know what I do for others, and I think that's where you are too. Everybody doesn't have that
And that's
ability.
what I was going to say. Right. So Miriam said it's called love.
It's just that simple.
Right. And so I get that part. I totally agree. Not, and like Miriam and Ashley told me yesterday, people are going to see us as being strong. Oh, they got it.
Exactly.
And when they don't have it, that's when I'm going to come in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's exactly the conversation that was
that
happening.
happened. Right.
We were told you got it until we get there, and I'm like, goodness, I needed you days, months ago, and I don't think people really understand how vulnerable I was in that moment and how hurt I was, and still hurt. This is very raw still. My son has only been gone a little over a month now, and it's still surreal, knowing that this incredible kid is not here anymore. It's really difficult. It's really difficult.
Because he was amazing.
He was amazing.
Even in
You had to
his
know him. You had to know him.
even in his sickness, he was amazing.
He was still going all the way till he passed. I mean, when I remember getting my mother, she was, we wheeled her through through the airport to get her back to San Antonio. She wanted to come home with me. She wanted me to take care of her, and try to help her get back on her feet. And I only had 2 months with her before she passed. So she flew all the way from North Carolina to San Antonio, and she passed at my home. I'm in San Antonio. Then I had to fly her back to North Carolina, her remains. That was tough, because I worked extremely hard to get her on the up and up, and I didn't realize how sick she was, and I don't think anybody really told me how bad off she was, and she didn't share that with me either. I just didn't think she didn't want me to worry so much. I knew she was battling cancer, and she had battled for a while. But during those moments I was serving, and I think she wanted me to focus on that, and she didn't really say how hard it was for her. Um, but when I got her, I was really I did everything I did for Jonathan. I turned up. She was my soldier, and I was taking care of my soldier, and I wanted her to live, and I wanted my mother to be around for a long time, because again, serving 20 years, I missed out on 20 years of my mom.
Yeah.
I wanted that moment with her. The last time I saw her and was with her full time, I was 18 years old, and I missed out on all of those years. I didn't have her by my side. And so finally I'm retired, and I'm ready to just, let's do this Thelma and Louise thing, Mom. And I can't do that with her. I'm just ready to cross country with this woman.
Yeah.
And then to lose her so quickly, it really hurt me a lot. And my children had to go through that with us as well, because again, she was home with us. And I did not send her to a nursing home or anything like that. I took care of my mother full time. And so to do that with her, and then to do that with my son, it was just, it's like I said, surreal. I just can't believe how short those moments are. And I guess in hindsight, looking back, COVID kept Jonathan home for a year because we didn't send him to school his ninth grade year. So we had Jonathan at home for the entire year. And then, so that, but he never had a high school experience. So he didn't have his ninth grade year in school. And then he started 10th grade, but he never stepped foot inside the high school. So that was tough. So it's just like this kid didn't get a break.
Right. So he didn't get to start school, but tell us what that school, your community did for you.
Okay, so again, I tell people like I was totally not convinced Fort Mill was where we were supposed to be, considering everything that was going on. And you know a lot more than I'm going to share on this conversation. But I was thinking, man, I can't do this. We need to figure out if we're gonna move, because nobody knew us. We didn't have any. Nobody was here physically. We had our neighbor to the right and left who were very good at about keeping up with us, but it just felt really lonely. And then maybe 3 weeks before my son passed, his school, the band reached out to us and asked could a couple of students come over and do like a intimate band session for Jonathan in our front yard. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I was like, hey, this is the thing though, and I always tell people, if you're gonna do something, you need to be very flexible and do it right away, because this boy is just that sick that I don't know how long I have. I knew that, but I didn't want to sound, negative, like I want this to happen, but I wanted to people to understand that he's really, really that sick. And they said, okay, well, we're coming today. And I was like, oh, well, that's fine. And then they called me back and they were like, Miss Martin, can we do it tomorrow? And I'm like, okay. And they were like, we have way more students who want to play than just a handful that I thought. And we need to kind of get the logistics right on this. And I was like, okay, sure. I'm talking about people showed up and showed out. I had over 200 children and families on my lawn
Jesus.
playing for my son in front of my house.
Yes.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. They played a lot of the pep tunes that they had been working on all summer. They played some of their concert series because they are a marching band, and John would have been marching with them this summer and this fall in competitions. And they also won their competition, their band competition this year. They won first place in many of their categories, and they credit that all to Jonathan. They wear his sticker all over everything. They have it all over the props and everything. And so, yes, that sticker right there. They have that sticker all over their band props and everything. And they came over here and they just played. And I told my son what was happening. And mind you, Jonathan was low energy. Okay. He was low energy for a little bit that final month. But when I told him the band was coming, he kind of perked up, and he was like, and he wanted to make sure that I had plenty of food for all these people. He was wanting to entertain. And I was like, okay, Jonathan, I got you, son. So we had plenty of food for everyone. All the principal came out, all of the vice principals, all of the band moms, everybody. It was just a whole show. My neighborhood came out because I kind of put the message out that, hey, we're going to have an intimate band session in our front yard. You to come and see. Yeah, it's intimate. I had to make it fancy. And they brought posters out. We love you, Jonathan. Your Fort Mill community supports you. And I'm talking about, it is amazing. You can see all these pictures. I have a little video that we built for Jonathan. You can see some of that on that video that we did, that little dedication video on the website. And then I have tons of pictures that I posted on my on my Facebook page if you want to see any of those. It was just, and they even gave a shout out on Fox News.
That's what I was going to say. So not only did you have the school, it was on the news. There were neighbors across the street on the sidewalk with signs, and there's cars going past. Amazing.
I've never, now mind you, I'm pretty certain my son is not the first person on the planet to get sick in this fashion, but I've never seen a school do such a thing for one of their students. And it was really a true testament of the hearts of these kids. It was the students. I totally give all the credit to the students and his counselor, who Miss Sue Gullidge, who put Jonathan in the forefront of her mind, and she kept Jonathan there. I thought maybe she thought I was crazy because when I went into her office to advocate for my son to go to school, and to be in honors classes because he was an honors student, um, I think she thought maybe I was, a little off, but she did not think that. She was just so amazed at how I advocated for my son, and that I wanted him to win and succeed so badly because Jonathan was going to MIT. He wanted to go to MIT,
Yes.
and be an engineer, and that was his goal. He was working extremely hard to do that, and I wanted them to see his shine. Even though the cancer had taken his body, it did not take his mind. So he was still a smart kid, but he started his first day in school, in the hospital bed,
Doing
receiving
homework.
chemo, doing
Yeah.
homework while he was getting chemo. So yeah,
Yeah.
he was dedicated.
Amazing.
Mhm.
So before we go into Melanated Melon, is there anything you wanted to comment about yesterday's discussion, or did we already cover?
Oh no, I think Miriam and Ashley are amazing. I have not had an opportunity to read your books, and I apologize for that. But I thought I do have that on my radar to do. I was hoping I was going to win that contest, but I don't know if I won it. So I'll just I have to just purchase the book. I'd rather purchase it anyway and just give you the business, because I think that's what we all need to do, is support our Black and Brown community, and support folks that are trying to do what we're doing. I know that Simone has, fixing crowns, and she's amazing at it. And I can see her being the next Oprah. So I just need her to keep working on it. I'm a speaker, girl. I'm speaking into your life.
Yes.
Are interviewing some big time folks here in the near future. So I think we all need to just get behind everything that we're doing for one another, and stand strong in that.
We need to support each other. I
Mhm.
agree. So with that said, you have a new website called Melanated Melon. Let's talk about Melanated Melon, period. See the sticker.
Got your button and sticker. Yeah.
Yes. And I have it on my phone.
Thank
Tell us
you.
what this is.
So Melanated Melon, I created that sticker, and that's my logo for my son's nonprofit. So one night I was in the hospital room for one of our 5-night stays for chemotherapy, and I'm like, Lord, this can't be. This is not fair. I've watched too many people I love go through this moment, and now my son, my heartbeat is laying in this bed, getting this technically poison put in his body, and I have to endure this and be okay. Even though I know what it is, I have to be strong for my son, because I can't give him everything about what's going on with him. It would be too frustrating. He's just a kid. But I was like, how can I honor this boy, and make sense of it all, and just keep his legacy going, because now I won't get any grandkids. We've started this chemo. It's aggressive to the body. We won't have the opportunity to get any sperm or anything that we could continue his legacy on. So what do you do? So I'm sitting in my son's room, because he was never alone. I was with him 100% of the time at every visit, and at every overnight stay. We were there. He was never by himself. And I just started drawing, and then I started, before the drawing even came into play, I was looking at foundations um, for cancer awareness, and for people who are dealing with cancer, and trying to find, just some foundations that supported Black and Brown people specifically, and there were none. There were none. I don't know if anybody else has found any, but it's very difficult to find a foundation that is specific to our ethnicity, especially I don't know why. It's not like we don't deal with cancer like everybody else, but I found that troubling in itself, and I wanted to change that narrative. And then I started looking at my son while he was going through this moment, and I realized how beautiful he was with his bald head. And I noticed how melanated and brown and round it was, and I was just like, he has a melanated melon, and that's how melanated melon came to my mind. And so, in looking at all of the cancer ribbons, the one specifically for children, the cancer ribbon for children is gold, and it's kind of a boring ribbon, and I kind of don't even like how they do it. They give each cancer this specific ribbon, specific color, as if
Right.
one cancer is better than the other, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's just really kind of
Mhm.
weird. Or I don't. Anyway, I got frustrated by it, and so I said, I'm gonna make my own ribbon, and my ribbon is gonna have all of the colors for
All
cancer
the
in
colors.
it. and, and so I made a ribbon for Jonathan, and if you look inside of the ribbon, you can see melanated melon spelled out in the script of the design. You can see the Melanated, and then melon, Melon. And then I just kind of added his name. And melanated melon is for any black or brown person, people of color, period, who are going through cancer. We all go through cancer. It's an ugly disease for anybody to go through. It doesn't just affect white people. It affects all of us in a negative way, and none of us should stand for it anymore. We need to come up with a cure. There's too much money being poured into this disease, that we should know now a little bit more about it and be able to attack it better. I know that cancer is different in every person, but my goodness, there has got to be something that we can do to save the lives of these young people that are going through this. It was extremely difficult for me to see children in the hospital like I did. I mean, it wasn't just my son; it's tons of kids in these children's hospitals fighting for their lives with cancer.
Mhm.
I'm like, you don't even know. And it's not like it's very well. I mean, I'm sure they have advocates for these young people, but goodness, it is so many. And it's so it's heartbreaking. It's disturbing to see a 2-year old walking around with a whole, um, is, you know, an extremity, protruding or something wrong, you know, is really, it's no words for it. It's just really harsh. It's harsh. And it was hard for me to see my son going through this. It was hard for me to see other people's children, because if you have, like I said, any kind of heart, you know that this is just a tough moment for any parent. And we go in there, and the parents don't really talk that much because everybody's going through, and it's not a moment for us to be. It's not like a band moment where you're sitting around talking with your other band mom about your student going to the next level. These are kids that we don't know if they're going to make it.
Mhm.
This is somebody's child who, could be here one moment and gone the next. And that's where we were. It wasn't a lot of communication on that.
So, what do you plan on doing with this, with the Melanated Melon organization?
What I want to see happen is, our goal is to be advocates. My husband and I have decided that we've gone from wearing green suits, the uniform, to wearing gold. So we are in the business of raising awareness about childhood cancer, especially these rare diseases, such that the one that my son had, um, because you don't hear about them. And just like anything else in the world, when you don't hear about something, you don't really push any funding towards that thing that you don't
Right.
hear about. So that's why breast cancer and prostate cancer gets all kinds of funding, um, for their cause, but you don't hear about any other real cancers that people are going through getting that type of money. It is really about how you advocate for it and how popular it is. And
Right.
so right now it's my business, it's my my goal my long-term goal is to bring awareness to this nut carcinoma that is disgusting, and fight it with everything we have to get the funding to get some kind of treatment that was better for it than what we were offered. We were offered the same thing every other person got for neck carcinoma, and it didn't work for any of those kids. So why would it work for our son? You know what I'm saying? It had to. Where was the difference at? And then where was the research? You know, who's going around asking the questions about what was my son exposed to, because we were all together. Why did he get sick? What happened on his cellular level that made him so susceptible to that type of disease? Especially because he did nothing wrong. He was the bill of health up until that moment. So I have so many questions and I don't understand. And I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. This is what we pay these people to do, and I want them to do their jobs.
I agree. So, Kat, what can we do to help?
So right now, I'm asking people to pour into the foundation, support, get behind it, volunteer, help with volunteering. As more information about what we want to do and what we want next year to look like, because as we come to a year's close, it's hard to start any new foundation on the hindsight of a year. So we want to come in strong. We need people to get behind this financially. We want to do something in Jonathan's name every year. One of those things we want to do is give a scholarship. We want to give a scholarship to students who may want to go into the medical field or into engineering field to help advance this medicine, so that we can get through this. I'm sorry, I just feel like if you can come up with a cure for COVID in 2.5 seconds, what is the problem with cancer? I don't understand. I just don't. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around. That's why I'm stumbling over my words a little bit here, and I apologize for that. But it's really gross to me that we can't come up with a solution to this, what seems like a decades long issue. And if we are not getting any closer, where is the money going?
Right. You're right. Miriam said she feels you and she so appreciates you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
One, we can, we're going to follow you on melanatedmelon.org.
Yes, and stay connected. I'm going to, as we continue to tweak the website and we want to know who's all helping out and doing things, we want to get our email list up so that we can tap into people and resources, so that we can just work together on making sure that we have something for us, one. But two, I'm not going to take away from the fact that most of the people who have helped this family are not just people of color, but my white brother and sisters. And they have really taken on, they are just as invested as I am. I won't take anything away from this group of people. And I want us all, because we can't do this with just us alone. It is a group effort. This is affecting every single one of us. I'm just coming at it from a perspective that this is my Black child who suffered a rare disease, and I want him to be recognized for that. And if he was still here, he would want this himself, because he was just that type of person. He was a volunteer. He was a smart individual, honors student, worked in the band. He was in the church. He sang. He was in his Sunday school lessons. He loved to mentor young children. He was just a phenomenal child that anybody would be proud to have. And to see his life stunted because of a cancer that nobody can really even understand, not even his doctor could really understand it, it is really just heartbreaking that's our story. I don't get a prom, I don't get a graduation, I get a sorry. I'm sorry. That's all I get.
So, Queens, please support Kat, her family, and Jonathan by going down. I'm going to post all this on the group page. Get onto the caregather.com, follow her, because she's going to give you, as things start to roll, she's going to be posting this on her blog, if you want to support. And then also, go to this website, www.melanatedmelon.org, to see how we can support her, especially support these yearly scholarships. You know, I'm all behind you, sis.
Yes, I'm all for it. I just love students, and anybody who knows me, even my family, I'm all about giving a scholarship for something. Let's raise money and give a scholarship to our family members for school. I don't care if it's $300 or $3,000. Let's just do something. And so this is not far fetched from what I'm used to doing anyway. This is just more on a larger scale, and I just want to be able to do for others through my son that I would want somebody to do for us. And so that's basically what it boils down to. And then also bring awareness to nut carcinoma. We're not the only foundation out there doing something for nut carcinoma, but I think we are a little bit more colorful about how we're going to approach it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where the difference is. And just because I know my son is an advocate, he is a volunteer, he would have done something like this 100%, even if he wasn't sick. And so just to continue to keep his legacy going, this is a way that we can do that. And then there are also other ways. If you're wanting to support and get the t-shirt, there are shirts that you can and items that you can buy through the website to support Melanated Melon, and all of those proceeds from those purchases go to the organization as well. We want to definitely take this to the next level, and I'm going to need help from every single angle that I haven't even thought of yet. I don't know what the help will look like and how it's going to come. I'm just in prayer that it's going to fall in line and it's going to work itself out. And this is not all about Catherine. This is a group effort. Again, I want it to be that Melanated Melon is bigger than myself. I want it to go and be global one day, if that's what it's supposed to do. And I want people to get behind this, especially us, as far as people of color, supporting a foundation that's specifically designed to be about us.
We got you. Miss Clara says she got you.
Thank you. I love her so much. Thank you so much.
Isn't she amazing? So before we part ways, is there anything you want to tell your viewers right now? Any parting words for them?
I am just grateful for this opportunity. I tell people all the time that my whole heart is broken at the loss of my son, but I watched my son bring together a whole community of people. To see all of these beautiful humans on my lawn playing for my son, and then the amount of people that still stay connected to my family as a result of that moment is incredible. And if I had to lose my son to gain all of that, then it's worth it. I'm not going to lie. I hate it. It makes me feel so bad to not hear his voice and see him walking around. But, this moment has been incredibly lifting to my spirits. And it gives me reason to live every day and to keep pushing, because I know that these things could really be a drag on the psyche and on your mental health and all of these things. But I am so grateful for what everybody has done. I'm grateful for people listening to my son's story, because in that sense, it's therapeutic as well to be able to tell how amazing my son is and keep his name in my mouth and in the mouths of others. it makes me happy. So I fully understand what it means when somebody says, say that person's name, because it gives it energy and it gives it power and it keeps the momentum going. So y'all continue to say Jonathan's name, continue to be Jonathan Strong, and support our community.
Miriam wants to know if you ship overseas.
I'm sure it does. And the website that I'm using for all of his memorabilia or anything with the logo on it is through a site called Redbubble. And Redbubble, I do believe, ships outside of the continental United States. And um, what it is they will, I don't get any of the monies from, the shirts or anything like that. I just get like a small little percentage from the design. And that design percentage that I get from each item, so that money goes to the foundation.
Right.
So please give it a whirl. If you can't get it and you want it, please let me know. I will get it for you and send it to you because I have no problem.
That's what I was going to say. I'll do it too. So I'm going to post that that Redbubble link on our group page. Please purchase and help support. Like she said, when you make those sales, like the T-shirts, only a small portion goes to the
artist.
The artist. So that amount will go to her, to the organization. So purchase, you all. Like
And
I
then
said,
when you purchase, take a picture and let us see it with the item on, because it does something for me personally, but I also want to share those moments with everybody else and let people know that we have a whole community of folks standing behind us, ready to take this to the next level. We have got to do something about what's going on in the cancer realm today, and we're in the 21st century. There's got to be, I mean, we're making movies where you can see people literally doing stuff digitally, pulling whatever ailment out and flicking it across the screen, and then now all of a sudden you're healthy again. Why can't we come up with something like that? And I know that's far-fetched, and I might be just a little bit, naive in that sense, but that's because I want so badly for my son to be here right now, just so badly. And I don't want this to happen to another child. This is so unfair, especially when you have a kid that is just strong-minded as my son was. I mean, nobody's child should have to go through this at all. And that is my whole goal, is to just do something about it and then make it easier on the next mother or father or loved one who has to care for somebody else. Because once we do get it off the ground and things are coming and moving in the right direction, we want to be able to give gift cards and do those things and bless a family with something, a monetary gift if they need that to help with a bill or something. Those things are important when you're going through a big family shift such as we did. I mean, you're gonna exhaust your finances because you're trying to do everything that you can to get your child or that loved one to whatever, holistic doctor or whatever hospital that's God knows how many hours away. You want that person to be healed, and you're willing to extend yourself to do that. And that does take a toll on everything and everyone that in your family.
Right. So, Kat, Demia Causey wants to know if Melanated Melon is the hashtag for Instagram or Twitter. Tell me if I'm correct. We're using hashtag Jonathan Strong.
Yes, we are. And so again, we're still getting off the ground. I'm looking for my Twitter person. I'm looking for that young person who's knows that Twitter world and knows that Instagram world, because I'm going to need that link connected to our Twitter and our Instagram. And I'm only one person, but I know that there's somebody out there who is more than willing to help us navigate that and get that set up and going. I'm pretty good around all platforms, but there's just no way for me to manage each and everything 100% of the time. And that's where the volunteer part comes in. And maybe one day when we get to a place where we can hire somebody to run those platforms for us, then that will be something that I'll be so excited about as well, because that means we're doing some really great stuff and getting people hired and being able to take care of folks in that way as well.
Yeah. So hashtag Jonathan Strong. Miriam wants to connect with you.
Awesome.
So I'm going to make sure that y'all are connected. I love it. Kat, my sweet sister, thank you so much.
No, thank you
for being here today. This was like, we woke up and it happened. So
it did, like literally just like that. And I'm so happy to do it because, again, it's so therapeutic for me to talk about my loved one. I love my son so much. I miss my mother. I miss my father-in-law, Diddy. We lost him 2 weeks after he died 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that, my mother passed. So it's all of this death, and a lot of it's centered around, these health issues, and cancer seems to be the cornerstone of all of it, and so it's really difficult for me. And I just didn't think I would lose my son to such a thing, because God knows how much I hate cancer. He knows. And to make my son go that way, it's really difficult. And I know that it's not his fault. I don't blame God for none of this. So don't get me wrong, folks. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, I know it was allowed that he suffered this moment, but I hope people see his strength through it all as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. We love you. I love you. And we honor you. So for those of you, who are watching, right behind Kat's right shoulder is Jonathan. Okay.
That's my baby. He is King Jonathan now. He has transitioned over. He was promoted on his way out and on up to heaven. So he is King Jonathan now. That picture came as a result of a conversation with a young lady in Atlanta who takes photos of children in African garb. I have her book actually right here. I'm gonna give her some shout outs. If you haven't seen this book, I bought it, like I pre-ordered it online on Amazon. It is a phenomenal picture book about our Black young children just expressing themselves through photo and loving their skin and the hair that they're in. And it is a phenomenal book. I use it a lot for referencing some of my art. And I reached out to her business and told her the situation about my son. And I'm like, I don't have much time. I can't wait for an appointment that's a month away. I don't know if I have that much time. And she said, if you can get Jonathan to Atlanta on Sunday, that week that I contacted her, she would do the photos for me. And this is a result of that. So that is my son in that dress and the crown and everything. He's fully in it, and he looked amazing, and he worked the whole camera for me. So I'm totally appreciative of that.
Ashley said, cancer truly stinks. Damia said, thank you for sharing your story, especially when it's so fresh. And yes, F cancer.
Yes.
Yes. Ashley said, transitioned and promoted. She loves it.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, Kat.
I love you.
I love you too. Hey, Mike. Jonathan Strong, y'all.
That's my baby.
Y'all have a good day.